Every 4th of July, my town held the same celebration. Same park, same food trucks, same beat-up stage with the same local band that could barely play a cover of Sweet Home Alabama without tripping over their own chords. But we loved it. It was ours. Tradition wrapped in cheap fireworks and lukewarm beer. This year, I wasn't feeling it. I had just lost my job the week before. My girlfriend and I had broken up a month before that. I almost didn't go. But my sister Kayla convinced me, said I needed fresh air, food truck tacos, and to stop sulking like a horror movie shut-in. Come on, she said, practically dragging me out of the car once we got there. It's fireworks and funnel cake. No one's ever been sad eating funnel cake. The park was packed. Families laid out picnic blankets. Teenagers lit sparklers and chased each other through the grass, and the smell of grilled meat hung thick in the air. The fireworks were supposed to start at 9. It was just after 8. We staked out a decent spot near the baseball field and parked ourselves on the grass. Kayla immediately started scanning the crowd for her friends, while I sat back, letting the warm summer night wrap around me like a damp blanket. Then I saw him. He was standing near the food trucks, off to the side where the light didn't quite reach. Just standing there, watching the crowd. He wore a dark blue hoodie, zipped all the way up despite the heat, and a plain gray backpack slung over one shoulder. There was something wrong about him. Not in any obvious way. He wasn't acting crazy or waving a weapon or anything like that. He was just still. Unnaturally still. People moved around him, bumped into him, brushed shoulders, and he never flinched. He just stood there, watching. I elbowed Kayla. Do you see that guy? She followed my gaze. Which one? Hoodie, backpack, by the food trucks. She squinted. No. Wait, yeah, that's weird. I don't like it, I said. You don't like anyone lately. Yeah, well, he especially gives me the creeps. She brushed it off, but I kept watching him. A few minutes later, he moved. Just a few steps, slowly, deliberately. He walked out of the crowd and headed toward the trees lining the back of the park, disappearing into the darkness like he was melting into it. A little after 9, people started getting antsy. No fireworks, no announcements. The band had stopped playing 15 minutes ago, and the mayor, who usually made some long-winded speech before the show, was nowhere to be seen. Kids started whining. Parents began checking their watches. Kayla glanced at me. This is weird, right? Yeah, I said, standing up. It's like no one knows what's happening. I scanned the crowd. Something felt wrong. That eerie, bone-deep kind of wrong. People were still laughing, eating, waiting, but it felt like they were all on a stage and no one realized the curtain had already fallen. Then came the explosion. It didn't sound like fireworks. Fireworks pop, crackle, whistle. This was a boom. A chest-punching, car alarm-setting, window-rattling explosion that lit the sky orange and sent a wave of heat washing over us. Screams erupted from the far end of the park. I turned in time to see a fireball rising where the food trucks had been. One of them was gone. Just gone. In its place was a twisted mess of metal and flame. People were on the ground, some running, some not moving at all. Kayla grabbed my arm. We have to go. Wait. I couldn't think. My ears were ringing. Another explosion rocked the park, this one closer. Dirt and grass blasted into the air. People ran, trampled each other, shrieking and calling out names. A man with half his face burned stumbled past us, clutching at the air before falling onto the pavement. I grabbed Kayla's hand, yanked her behind the dugout of the baseball field, and tried to catch my breath. This is a bomb, I said. Someone planted bombs. No. What's happening? She kept saying over and over, like repeating it would undo the chaos. That's when I saw the guy in the hoodie again. He was standing near the park's maintenance shed now, away from the crowd, just watching the flames, his hands resting casually at his sides like he was admiring his work. He didn't run, didn't flinch. I stood up. I'm going after him. Kayla grabbed my shirt. Are you insane? He did this. And what the hell are you going to do about it? But I was already moving. I ducked through the chaos, heart-pounding, smoke filling my lungs, and followed him into the trees. The screaming grew quieter behind me, muffled by the woods. Branches scratched my arms. The darkness swallowed the trail almost immediately, and I lost him for a second. Then I saw the faint glow of a phone screen ahead, just briefly. I crept closer. The man stood in a small clearing, facing away, typing something on his phone. I stepped on a branch. It cracked. He turned. Even in the dark, I could see his face. Pale, gaunt, eyes wide and far too calm. He stared at me like I wasn't even real. "You did this," I said, my voice shaking. He didn't answer. Just watched me, head tilted. "Why?" I demanded. His lips curled into a smile. "Because no one listens anymore until they're screaming." I lunged. I don't know what I thought I'd accomplish. He dropped the phone and reached into his pocket. I tackled him before he could pull anything out, and we crashed to the forest floor. We struggled. He was stronger than he looked, but I managed to pin him for half a second. Then I saw what he'd pulled from his pocket. A small remote with a red button. He pressed it. The final explosion shook the ground so hard I thought the earth itself had cracked open. I was thrown backward, hit a tree, and everything went black. When I came to, I couldn't hear anything. My ears were ringing, my head throbbed, smoke was everywhere. The stranger was gone. I stumbled back toward the park, or what was left of it. It was carnage. Emergency lights flashed red and blue through thick smoke. Paramedics swarmed the field. Triage stations were set up in the parking lot. I saw children crying, parents sobbing, bloodstained blankets covering still bodies. Kayla found me near the baseball diamond. She was alive. Singed and bruised, but alive. We didn't speak. There was nothing to say. In total, 42 people were injured. 9 died. Half a dozen more were missing. The news called it a terror attack, but no group ever claimed it. The man I saw was never found. No security footage showed him entering the park. Police chalked it up to confusion and trauma, said I must have imagined him. But I know what I saw. Every 4th of July since, I see him. Not in person, not close, but in the crowd, watching. And I wonder how many more towns have traditions he plans to destroy. I always thought the 4th of July was the happiest day of the year. In our little town, it was almost sacred, bigger than Christmas, bigger than Halloween. Everyone gathered at Finch Park, grilled hot dogs, let their kids run wild, and waited for the sky to bloom in color. It was perfect every year. Until last year. Last year was the first time I felt something watching me. I arrived at the park around 6 p.m., as usual. I had my folding chair, my little cooler, and a bag of those awful patriotic cookies with the red, white, and blue frosting that gets all over your fingers. My mom used to buy them when I was a kid. She's been gone 5 years now, but I still get them. Some things you keep doing just to feel normal. The park was already crowded, familiar faces everywhere. Old friends, neighbors, people I knew from high school. I waved to the Tomlins, who were arguing over how to set up their umbrella. I spotted the Klein twins racing toward the hot dog stand. Even the mayor was there, red-faced and sweating through his suit, laughing too loud and clapping people on the back like he wasn't drunk off his ass. I found a nice spot near the small hill on the north end of the field away from the speakers and crowd noise. Just me, my cookies, and a front row seat to the sky. That's when I noticed it. Not someone. Not something. Just a feeling. A pull. The trees lining the back of the park, the ones that separated Finch Park from the old reservoir trail, had never felt ominous to me before. But that evening, they looked wrong. Not visibly, not in any way I could point out. Just darker, deeper, like they went on forever. I turned my chair away from them, annoyed at myself. I've always had a vivid imagination, but I didn't need it that night. I was there to relax, to remember good things. I put on some music, popped open a soda, and waited for the sun to go down. It was around 8:45 when I first noticed the sound, a soft rustling from the trees. I looked back, squinting. Maybe a raccoon, I thought, or a deer. The woods weren't huge, but they were thick enough to hide animals. I saw nothing, but the rustling stopped the moment I looked. I turned back to my chair. 10 minutes later, it came again. This time louder, closer, like something dragging through underbrush. I stood, scanning the tree line. A couple of people were nearby, but no one else seemed to hear it. A father was pushing his kid on the swings, and a group of teens was setting off sparklers closer to the restrooms. No one was looking toward the woods. The noise stopped. I took a few steps toward the trees, telling myself I was being dumb. Just checking. Probably kids messing around. But the moment I stepped off the grass and onto the mulch trail leading into the trees, it went dead silent. No bugs. No rustling leaves. Not even the distant bass of the music from the stage. It was like stepping into a vacuum. I turned around and went back to my chair. 9 p.m. The sky was getting dark and people were starting to quiet down. Everyone was facing the lake now, waiting for the fireworks barge to start the show. I should have been doing the same, but I couldn't stop looking at those trees. I tried to focus, ate a cookie, checked my phone, texted Chelsea, who was out of town visiting her parents. She replied, "Jealous. I missed the show. Text me when it starts." Then the light behind me flickered. I turned fast. There was nothing. Just trees. Dark, endless trees. But something had changed. There was now a shape. In the woods. Not a person. Not an animal. A shape. The kind of thing your eyes refuse to focus on. Like it was wrapped in shadow, too thick to be natural. Tall, unmoving, like it had always been there, but I had just noticed it. I blinked. It was gone. The air felt colder, just a little. People around me were cheering. I turned toward the lake. The first firework exploded in the sky, red, bright, and loud. Another followed, blue, then white. Classic American palette. I tried to relax, tried to tell myself I'd imagined it. Stress, heat, bad sleep, anything. But as the fireworks continued, I felt it again. Not the pull this time. The presence. It was behind me. I knew it without turning. I could feel it, heavy and solid, like gravity had bent behind my chair. I didn't want to look. Another firework burst. The crowd cheered. I turned. It was standing just beyond the tree line now. Closer. It hadn't moved like a person. It didn't step forward. It had become closer, like the woods had pushed it forward while I wasn't looking. Still no detail. No face. Just a silhouette of wrong angles and long limbs, too tall, too still. And I realized something that made my stomach drop. No one else was looking. Not a single person. Thousands of people, and not one of them saw it. I turned back toward the show. Pretended. The finale started. Rapid fire, booming colors and light, the sky a brilliant strobe of red and gold, and in the flicker of the fireworks, I saw its shadow stretch across the grass. Long, inhuman. And then I heard my name, not shouted, not whispered. Spoken. Directly behind my ear, I spun around. Nothing. The trees, empty again. Or as empty as they'd allow themselves to appear. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my apartment, with every light on, watching the hallway like something might step through it if I blinked. Over the next few days, things got stranger. My plants started dying, all at once. Every mirror in my apartment began to fog slightly in the center, as if someone was breathing on them from the inside. And I started seeing the silhouette again, at the edge of the grocery store parking lot, reflected in the windows of my car, once in the glass of the microwave door, behind me. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it chose me. Maybe because I looked at it. Maybe because I stepped toward the woods. Maybe because some doors don't open from the outside. It hasn't touched me, not yet. But every night I feel it closer. Not walking, not crawling, just arriving, like it's always been here. And every day, I remember the sound from the woods, the way it matched my heartbeat, the way it's still matching it now. I always loved the 4th of July. There was something magical about it, something nostalgic and comforting. The smell of grilled burgers in the air, the cool grass beneath the blanket, the crack of a cold beer being opened, and the anticipation of fireworks lighting up the sky. It was tradition, a time when the world felt right, even if it wasn't. This year, the celebration was bigger than ever. My hometown of Marlow had gone all out. Word was the mayor had poured a ton of money into the fireworks show, saying it would put Marlow on the map. A ridiculous notion, but no one was complaining. Everyone loves a good spectacle. I went with my younger brother Nate and my best friend Chelsea. We'd staked out our spot early, right in front of the lake, with a perfect view of the barge where they'd launched the fireworks. The field was packed with families, teenagers, and old-timers who'd been around since Marlow was just a handful of dirt roads and farms. A live band played some classic rock covers, and kids ran around with glow sticks and cotton candy smeared across their faces. It felt like something out of a movie. But something felt off. It started with the man standing alone near the edge of the crowd. He was tall, too thin, wearing a threadbare black button-up and jeans that looked like they hadn't been washed in weeks. He wasn't holding a drink or any food, just standing there, arms stiff at his sides, watching the lake. I nudged Chelsea and nodded toward him. See that guy? She squinted. Creepy. Looks like he's waiting for something. Or someone, Nate said behind me, half joking. We laughed it off and went back to sipping our drinks and swatting at mosquitoes. Still, I kept looking over my shoulder. The man hadn't moved. The band wrapped up around 8:45, and the crowd buzzed with anticipation. People started craning their necks toward the lake. The sun dipped below the trees, and the sky turned the kind of deep blue that feels like the breath before a scream. 9 o'clock came and went. Still no fireworks. A few people groaned, but no one panicked. These things sometimes ran late, but at 9:15, the crowd started murmuring. I stood up, shielding my eyes against the last of the sunlight. No technicians on the barge, no lights, no crew, just a dark, motionless platform floating in the water. Then I heard it. A low humming sound, almost like feedback from a speaker, except there were no speakers near us anymore. It started faint, barely noticeable, but grew louder, sharper. A few people clapped their hands over their ears. Someone's kid started crying. The lights around the field flickered, then went out entirely. Total darkness. People started talking louder, shouting for someone to turn the lights back on, for someone to explain what was happening. Phones lit up, throwing eerie white glows across nervous faces. Then the humming stopped. Dead silence followed. And then came the explosion. It wasn't on the barge. It came from the parking lot, behind us. A flash of red-orange light erupted in the distance, followed by a deafening boom that shook the ground and sent a wave of heat washing across the field. Screams tore through the crowd. I turned in time to see flames licking the night sky, thick black smoke curling upward like a giant claw. People ran, trampled each other. Chaos. Run, Chelsea shouted, grabbing Nate's arm. We have to get out of here. But I couldn't move. I saw him again, the man in black. He was walking slowly through the crowd, completely calm, untouched by the panic. His eyes locked on mine. He smiled. A second explosion ripped through the night, closer, this time from the lake. The barge. The fireworks never launched. They ignited all at once in one massive burst that shattered windows across town and sent wooden splinters flying through the air like shrapnel. The blast knocked me off my feet. I hit the ground hard, vision blurring, ears ringing. I could barely make out anything through the smoke and screams. Someone stumbled over me. A woman sobbed nearby, calling a name over and over. I crawled across the grass, coughing, trying to find Nate and Chelsea. I found Nate first. He was sitting upright against a tree, blood running down the side of his face. His eyes were wide, unfocused. Nate. I grabbed his face, tried to snap him out of it. Are you okay? I think something's in my leg, he mumbled. Chelsea found us a moment later, coughing and dragging her left foot. We have to go. It's not over. What do you mean? I asked, helping Nate to his feet. I saw him. That guy. He walked into the woods carrying something. I think there's another bomb. We didn't question it. We moved. The three of us stumbled through the park, dodging bodies and fallen light posts. Emergency sirens wailed in the distance. People were screaming for their kids, their spouses. I saw someone with half their face burned away, dragging themselves toward the road. It looked like a war zone. We cut through a playground and into the woods where Chelsea had seen the man go. The trees swallowed the light and the smoke hung heavy, clinging to our skin and lungs. We found him in a small clearing. He stood next to an open black duffel bag, wires, cylindrical canisters, a phone with a countdown timer glowing on the screen, 2:40:42. He turned slowly when he heard us. His eyes were glassy, like he wasn't entirely here, just a vessel. What the hell are you doing? I demanded, stepping forward. He didn't answer, just looked at me with that same faint smile. Chelsea raised a rock she'd picked up and hurled it. It hit him square in the shoulder, and he staggered backward. Nate lunged forward and kicked the phone, sending it skidding into the trees. The man's face changed then. Not anger, not pain, something else. He whispered something under his breath and ran. We didn't chase him. We grabbed the bag, God, I don't know why, maybe out of instinct, and bolted the other direction. We made it back to the road. A police cruiser nearly hit us, screeching to a stop just in time. We waved them down, handed over the bag, and told them everything we'd seen. They didn't believe us. Not at first. But when they found the bomb, armed minutes from detonating, they believed us, and they never found the man. The official story was a malfunction with the fireworks and a gas leak in the parking lot. They didn't want panic. They didn't want questions. But I know what I saw. Nate has trouble sleeping now. So do I. Chelsea moved away not long after, said she couldn't breathe in Marlow anymore. Every 4th of July, I think about that man. His eyes, that smile, the way he moved through a crowd like he didn't exist. And I keep wondering how many towns have stories like mine, stories buried under lies and sealed reports, waiting to happen again.